next to be interviewed, Your Honors, is Sandigan Bayan Presiding Justice Amparo Cabotaje-Tang. Assistant.
Good morning, Madam PJ Tang.
Good morning, Your Honors.
Ready for interview?
Yes, Your Honors.
So may request Attorney Cayosa to start.
Thank you, Justice Gutierrez. Good morning, Madam Presiding Justice Cabotaje-Tang.
Good morning, Your Honor.
We have extensively interviewed you many times in the past, in 2011 and in 2013, both for the position of Sandigan Bayan Associate Justice and later on for the position of Sandigan Bayan Presiding Justice. And so it has been 2 years, a little over 2 years since you assumed the helm of the Sandigan Bayan. And I came across your inaugural message, and rather than asking you about what you have done in the past, may I just quote from your inaugural message, and perhaps you can give us some insights on how you have accomplished what you set for in your inaugural message as your wish list. So let me start with the first one, which is stated, and I quote, "For our court to stand united as a stronghold against graft and corruption," end of quote.
Yes, Your Honor. When I assumed the position of presiding justice, I have always reminded the officials and employees of the Sandigan Bayan to discharge its mandate of its mandate to be the vanguard of the people. That means it should be the very first one to set a high standard of public accountability. After all, it is the anti-graft court.
What can you say is your gauge if you have been able to make inroads or progress in this regard within the Sandigan Bayan?
Your Honor, in the Makati Business Club report, the credibility or trust rating of the Sandigan Bayan has increased by 7 notches since I assumed the helm of the presiding justice in the Sandigan Bayan, and I think this is a matter of record.
Second on your wish list is, and I quote, "For our court to exercise, enforce, and execute its powers more actively and purposefully," end of quote.
Yes, Your Honor. Again, I've always reminded my colleagues in the Sandigan Bayan that we should act promptly in cases, especially those that have been submitted for decision. And part of this was my constant reminder that we should always observe this saying that justice delayed is justice denied. And so I'm glad to say that as far as our records will show, some of the cases which have slumbered for years, which have already been submitted for decision and which have not been decided then, have significantly been reduced.
Is this backed up by figures? Is there something that you can cite that would be proof that this has actually, the number of cases pending before the Sandigan Bayan has actually been efficiently addressed?
Your Honors, I don't have the figures right now, but at the top of my mind, what I can say is, based on, the Ombudsman itself came up with a report that the conviction rate of the Sandigan Bayan for the end of 2015 is higher than in the past year. And also, in so far as the clearance rate of the Sandigan Bayan is concerned, the For now, we have 69 point something percent compared to 2014, which was only about 54 point something percent. So about an increase of 14 or almost 15%, Your Honors.
Third on your wish list is a time-sensitive process. Could you tell us something about this and how you have been able to implement a process that you can anticipate when a case will be resolved in the Sandigan Bayan?
Well, again, Your Honors, it's the constant reminder to my colleagues that we should be faithfully compliant with the constitutional deadline of resolving cases within 1 year from the time it is submitted for decision. And it does not only refer to decisions but also to incidents that are already submitted for resolution, like a motion to quash, motion to dismiss, motion for investigation, to get the cases going. Because if, for example, a motion for determination of probable cause is not resolved with dispatch, then that stops the progress of the case. So to get the case going, all these incidents must be resolved as soon as possible after they are submitted for resolution.
I recall that in the previous interviews that we conducted for aspirants for the Sandigan Bayan, there were proposals as regards the setting of time limits as to the resolution of matters pending before the court. Have you established, like for instance, the resolution of pending motions should be done within 30 days? And how have you been able to strictly implement such time limit?
Your Honors, just lately we had our court and bank session, and we all agreed, because we are in the process of submitting our revised internal rules for the approval of the Supreme Court, and we came to an agreement that all these incidents that are submitted for decision should be resolved within 90 days from the time they are submitted for resolution.
Fifth on your wish list is, and I quote, for us to instill a sense of pride in every public servant who works for this court. End of quote.
Yes, Your Honor. Well, my reference here is not the officials, not only the officials, the justices and the officials of the court should take pride in what they do, but even the lowly janitor, because they all contribute to the whole process of administering justice.
And finally, you state, and I quote, is really a prayer that our court may be blessed with that constant power of discernment in all the cases laid before us, avoiding delaying justice, yet avoiding rushing to judgment. End of quote.
Yes, Your Honor. Again, this has something to do with the ideal that all cases must really be resolved with dispatch, ever conscious of the parties' right to speedy disposition of their cases.
So that brings me to my last question, Madam Presiding Justice. Wouldn't you consider that 2 years at the helm of the Sandigan Bayan may be too short a time within which to effectively implement the reforms that you have in mind, as stated in your inaugural message?
That may be true, Your Honor, but assuming that I get fortunately appointed to the position I am applying now, I believe that there are others still in the Sandigan Bayan who can continue with these reforms that I have started, and maybe equally good, if not better.
Thank you, Madam Presiding Justice, and I wish you well.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chairman.
Thank you so much, Attorney Cayosa. May I request now Attorney Mejia to continue.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Good morning, Presiding Justice Cabotaje-Tang.
Good morning, Your Honor.
My question, practically all the questions that I listed here were addressed by the questions of Attorney Cayosa, but for whatever it's worth, may I ask you one or two questions. Based on the goals you have set for yourself when you applied for the lofty position of Presiding Justice of the Sandigan Bayan, how much have you achieved in meeting these goals?
Your Honor, there are much things still yet to be done, but I am proud to say that from a scale of 1 to 10, I would say that maybe 6 would be an honest gauge of what has been achieved so far.
Don't you think that leaving Sandigan Bayan now would hamper the goals that you have set for yourself in achieving those goals?
I don't believe so, Your Honor, because my colleagues in the Sandigan Bayan share the same goals as I do. And I'm sure even if I get appointed to the High Court, those who will be left behind would continue with the same goals, to pursue the same goals, Your Honor.
In an Inquirer News last July 24, 2015, you reacted to the Ombudsman's, or you allegedly reacted to the Ombudsman's accusation that the anti-graft court is delaying the pork barrel scam cases. What is your thought on this?
Well, Your Honors, the litigants and even the media who appear before our court can attest to the fact that the court, whatever division in the Sandigan Bayan, is always desirous of resolving cases with dispatch, and it will not and will never tolerate any delay or even an attempt to delay the proceedings in the cases, and that is why it's not correct to say that the Sandigan Bayan is delaying any of the cases pending before it. In fact, Your Honor, if I may say, we have set hearings for the plunder case that is pending before us thrice a week, and the lawyers are complaining, but we rejected any move on their part to cancel any of the hearings, because the court will and shall always adhere to the call for a speedy justice.
That was my final question. Thank you and good luck again, Justice Cabotaje.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, Attorney Mejia. And now may I request again Attorney Guevara to continue.
Good morning, Madam Presiding Justice.
Good morning, Your Honor.
In your order of priorities, how important is your family?
Thank you for that question, Your Honor. Let me answer that question by saying this. When my children were still in high school, I thought of applying with the Court of Appeals. But one of my children cried. So I thought of a way how to balance my family with my profession. So I thought of applying with the Sandigan Bayan. So this provides the balance between family and work. So I always strive to strike a balance between family and work. But of course, at the end of the day, when demands for family call for it, as a mother, I would go for my family.
Pardon me if I misunderstood your statement. You said that you found more chances or more opportunities to have a balanced life with your work at the Sandigan Bayan compared to a situation where you would have been at the Court of Appeals?
Yes, Your Honor, because...
Why is that so?
Yes, Your Honor, because in the Court of Appeals, once you get appointed, you have to go first to either Cebu or Cagayan de Oro. So I will be physically separated from my children who were then still in high school. So to be able so as not to be separated from them physically, I thought of joining the judiciary, where I could still work with the judiciary and at the same time be physically with my family. And that, the Sandigan Bayan precisely provided that opportunity, Your Honor.
I understand now. Do you have any health issues, Madam Presiding Justice, which may affect discharge of your judicial functions?
None, Your Honor. I submitted the requisite medical results as of the JBC, and I did, Your Honor.
Medical results show that you have this condition called atherosclerotic aorta. Can you enlighten us on what this condition is all about?
I'm sorry, Your Honor. I'm not. I do not really know, but my doctor said that there is nothing to worry about it, and in fact, he has not prescribed me any medication for this.
How do you cope up with stress?
Frankly, Your Honor, I do a lot of singing at home.
Singing.
Yes, and play badminton. Those are my ways of de-stressing.
Have you ever said or spoken a cuss word or insulted an employee when probably you lose your temper because of the pressure of work?
I raise my voice, Your Honor, when I get to that point where orders consistently are not adequately addressed. But that is more infrequent than it is, then it happens.
All right. As a justice of the Sandigan Bayan, you must be very, very concerned about building a culture of integrity in Philippine society. So, do you have any suggestions, or maybe you can give us a couple of measures that you have in mind so that we can build a culture of integrity in Philippine society?
Well, Your Honor, when one demands let me start by saying that one who imposes something must practice what that person imposes. So, to me, it should start from the head of office, because only then would that head of office have the moral authority to demand the same kind of exacting standard from the officials and employees of any agency for that matter. And maybe a constant reminder to the officials and employees that a public office is a public trust. And the constitutional mandate that every employee must at all times act with utmost responsibility, integrity, loyalty, and efficiency.
Do you have any religious beliefs?
Well, I am a Catholic, Your Honor. I go to church, I pray.
If a law which allows same-sex marriage is brought before the Supreme Court and is questioned on constitutional grounds, what would your opinion be on the matter?
Well, I go by the traditional definition of a family, Your Honor. A family is composed of a father, a mother, and a child. That is what we call a nuclear family. So, what is the purpose of marriage? Marriage is supposed to be for purposes of this one with procreation. And there can be no procreation if if the parties are of the same sex.
So you will vote against a law that allows that kind of marriage?
Well, at this time, I cannot say that I will vote for or against that. You know, perhaps it will require a more extensive study on what the correct position should be.
Okay, that was my final question, Madam Chairman.
Thank you very much, Attorney Guevara. And now may I request Justice Lagman to continue.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. PJ Cabotaje-Tang, good morning.
Good morning, Your Honor.
You have been the presiding justice of the Sandigan Bayan for a little over 2 years now. why do you think you are now ripe to be a member of the highest court of the land? With your experience in the Sandigan Bayan, which started in 2012 when you were appointed as an Associate Justice and then PJ, and your experience in the Office of the Solicitor General.
Yes, Your Honor. I have been in the public service for almost 36 years to this date. 30 years were spent in the office of the Solicitor General, where I was richly exposed to the different fields of law: criminal law, civil law, taxation, family law, and a good number of constitutional law cases. And there I learned how to write pleadings, be an advocate, appear before the court. I even appeared before the Supreme Court and argued some of the constitutional law cases involving the Republic. And given this experience, Your Honor, of almost 31 years in the OSG and 3 years in the Sandigan Bayan, I respectfully believe that I have gained the adequate tools that equip me to a higher calling, which is to be part of the highest court of the land.
Okay. With that answer, what do you think can be your contribution to the Supreme Court if you will be fortunate to be nominated and appointed?
Your Honor, it would be twofold. One, as a member of the court, to promulgate and enforce rules for the judicial reform or transformation, such as decongesting the dockets of the court. And secondly, as an individual magistrate, to render decisions, well-grounded decisions, and to resolve all cases with dispatch.
Okay. Now let's go back to your role now as PJ of the Sandigan Bayan. There have been reports that there are some members of the court as well as members of the staff are committing corruption. Now, what have you done to address this problem or to weed out these corrupt members of the court and personnel?
Your Honors, I have never hesitated to take administrative action against erring officials or employees of the Sandigan Bayan. More than a year ago, that was sometime in December, a security guard in the court purportedly requested or solicited money from one of the lawyers of one of the accused in the court, and I took immediate action by writing the Supreme Court to place him immediately under preventive suspension, so as not to prevent people from entertaining even the thought that corruption or any effort at corruption is tolerated in the Sandigan Bayan. If also administrative cases have been filed against those who are claimed to have mediated or acted as middleman in an attempt to make improper disclosure of or premature disclosure of decisions of the court. And corresponding sanctions have been meted out on those employees who have been found guilty, of course, after observance of due process, Your Honors.
Okay, let's go to another point. What are your views on gender sensitivity? Gender sensitivity. Now, if you are appointed to the Supreme Court, how would this principle affect the performance of your functions?
Well, to me, Your Honor, gender sensitivity simply means that we treat everyone, irrespective of our gender, equally. An equal opportunity, irrespective of gender.
So it will have no effect whatsoever.
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Now, considering that we have interviewed you several times in the past, the latest of which was in 2013, my last question is, can you give us a strong reason why we should nominate you again for a slot in the Supreme Court?
Your Honors, I have been in the government service for almost 36 years. And this service in the government was done with dedication, honesty, and utmost integrity.
So, did you receive any award while you were in the Office of the Solicitor General in connection with the performance of your work in that office?
No, Your Honor, because in the OSG, the ASGs normally do not receive any awards. It's the solicitors, because sometimes we do it during anniversaries. We select the most outstanding lawyer and another for the admin staff. I don't recall if we had one for the ASGs, Your Honor.
I see. So on that note, I have no further question for PJ Tang. Good luck.
Thank you, Your Honor.
So thank you very much, Justice Lagman. My first question is concerning the question of Attorney Guevara on gay marriage. When he asked you what will be your opinion if this kind of scenario reaches our Supreme Court, and then your answer was sort of you will study the matter first, okay?
Yes, Your
okay. So may I remind you that readily in our Constitution, it states that the state recognizes the sanctity of family life and shall protect and strengthen the family as a basic social institution. And under our family code, there is a provision that a marriage should only be between a man and a woman. Can you not just decide this case on the basis of the Constitution and the family code?
Your Honor, since you have reminded me of this constitutional provision about the protection of the family, and as I have stated earlier, my definition of a family is a father, a mother, and a child, then
you can decide outright.
Yes, Your Honor, then maybe I will strike that down as unconstitutional.
Yeah, the basis of the U.S. decision is Equal Protection Clause. Justice Kennedy stated that sort of all Americans are equal, and that therefore they should enjoy equal rights, equal benefits, equal protection, and the fundamental right to enter into the contract of marriage. Supposing this case is before you, can you also anchor your decision on the Equal Protection Clause and what are the requisites of classification? All Filipinos are equal, whether they belong to the transgender, bisexual, lesbian, and what's the other one? Gay. They are Filipinos. So what is your idea about this? Will you also rely on the Equal Protection Clause, just as you will rely also on the constitutional provision which I read a while ago?
Well, the Equal Protection Clause, although discrimination per se is not prohibited, but what is simply disallowed, as far as I can recall, is unfair discrimination. I don't think the right to equal protection would tilt the balance in favor of this gay marriage, Your Honor. I would rather go for that constitutional provision about protecting the sanctity of marriage, and I still go back to my definition that a marriage should be between a man and a woman.
But these four classes of people are also Filipinos. It was not their fault or their fault to be like them. They are all Filipinos, covered by the Equal Protection Clause. Anyway, that would be maybe a debatable matter. When the issue reaches the Supreme Court, you can either dissent, concur, or what. Anyway, you stated a while ago in answer to the question of Attorney Guevara that sometimes you raised your voice. Well, at this stage maybe, considering my experience, I'm older than you, a retiree. The moment you reach that kind of emotion, you know the advice. I learned this in the National Judicial College when I took up the art of conducting trial. Declare a recess, go inside your chambers, drink a glass of cold water, and face the mirror. And eventually call both lawyers, the opposing lawyers, and then give them a good dressing down. In that way, you will not be, criticized with respect to your judicial conduct. There should always be judicial temperament. Okay.
Thank you for the advice, Your Honor. I will take that to heart.
Justices of the Sandigan Bayan are actually trial lawyers, just like the RTC judges, but then you are always in a division, and your concerns are only basically graft and corruption cases. Has it occurred in your mind that maybe to expedite disposition of many cases now pending with Sandigan Bayan, that each justice, of course there should be a law, should be allowed to conduct trial singly, alone. So the three of you will be handling graft and corruption cases individually. What do you think? Because this is the view of some sectors.
Well, Your Honors, maybe that is a practical solution to speeding up the disposition of cases, but we have to contend with the fact that under our internal rules, all three justices must hear and
If there is a law, you will do away with the internal rules. Do you think that law, if there is a law that way, do you think there is wisdom in that?
Actually, now, Your Honors, under our latest amendatory law, Republic Act 7660, only two justices, the presence of only two justices will now constitute a quorum. So it will be easier now for us to proceed with the case. To hear cases. Unlike before, if there is one absent justice, we could not proceed. We have to borrow another justice from another division to complete the quorum of three justices. But under the current law, the presence of two justices is needed to constitute a quorum.
So in your view, a single Sandigan justice should not conduct trial alone. Okay?
Yes, Your Honor, yes.
Okay, of course, you are aware of Rule 65, expanded the jurisdiction of the courts.
Yes,
This is, the power of the court to determine whether or not grave abuse of discretion for lack of jurisdiction has been committed by any court. Do you remember where this expanded jurisdiction originated?
Well, this is found.
And eventually, it's now in our Constitution, but it's not in the Constitution of America.
Frankly, Your Honor, I don't. My only basis is Section 5, Article 8 of the Constitution, which now grants the Supreme Court expanded jurisdiction, which means that the judicial power of the Supreme Court does not only extend to deciding actual controversies involving legally enforceable and demandable rights, but also extends to acts of government officials which are alleged to have been committed with grave abuse of discretion.
So this latter power is what we call judicial review.
Yes.
You remember? If you remember the case of Madison, Marbury versus Madison, 1803. Do you remember that in the College of Law?
I don't remember it anymore. I'm sorry.
President Adams signed the commission of Marbury as Justice of the Peace of the District of Columbia. But President Jefferson, Secretary of State Madison, refused to release the commission or appointment. So this expanded jurisdiction, actually we copied from America, this case is the source of that. Anyway, oh my goodness, there is a warning already. So thank you very much, PJ. Good luck.
Thank you, Your Honors. Good morning.